Arganissima, New York. Your exotic skin, hair, and beauty source, and your one-stop shop for all your natural and organic skin and hair care, featuring authentic organic Moroccan oil and prickly pear seed oil and much more. Bringing you only the best, straight from the source and proudly produced in the USA. So what are you waiting for? Shop today at www.arganissima.com. Arganissima, New York. Your beauty is our duty.
Fitness world, or the Fit and Fab channel, the iHealth channel, iHealth Radio, with your host Hurricane H. Yes, you get it. Today is going to be about fitness, and my guest will take us to his journey and his concept of another model of fitness, but it's beyond the obvious. It's not your typical what you know about it. There's more to what we're going to talk about today. It's about awareness. It's about more mentorship. There's more things that we're going to cover today. In the world of fitness, we've talked about many things over the past few years, and we've had different angles, different guests, different topics, different modalities, but there's always new things and there's always new resources. And today I have a founder of a concept, and I refer to it as a concept for now, the concept of Gymnazo. Now, it is a gym, but not like every other gym. And that's the good news. All gyms have their own signatures. But today we have a unique approach. So with me, I have Michael Hughes. Michael, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Eric. I appreciate it.
Listen, it's been great to have you on, and to have you booked actually to be on, and I'm so happy that we had a brief discussion before the show, and I am intrigued about your concept because I looked at this stuff. And you do a lot of things. I mean, you do have a facility, and you are the founder. This was your baby, and I want to go back to that journey, like your background, and then what drove you to actually start Gymnazo.
Yeah, it's a story that I actually thought was something that was a bad, oh no, I failed. But looking back at the past, there's always a path. There's always something. You have a goal to get after, but you're not sure how life's going to get you there. And it really goes back to working out in 8th grade. Like in 8th grade, fitness to me, which was like fitness, like the traditional fitness, we're talking about bench press, squat, curls, physique fitness, Arnold Schwarzenegger fitness, as I like to say. It provided me something that I didn't have as a little kid. It was like there was an internal confidence. It was a discipline. It was a trusting in myself. And I'll spare the story before my eighth grade revelation, but it gave me something that it blew my mind, and I realized that this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I wanted to help people in movement, and so I thought long and hard about it, and talked to a bunch of people, and I said, "Gosh, what's the premier job in fitness, in movement?" And people say, "Oh, that's physical therapy." No one knows more than them, I mean, you got a surgeon, but that's not movement. That's isolated joint stuff. You really got to get after, the physical therapy thing. So I was like, cool, that's what I'm going to do. So I went hard. That's all I did. And that was my whole focus. This college I went to, the courses I took. And I tell you what, I didn't really realize until it was too late, but I am not designed to sit in a row of desks, learn from a seated position, answer multiple choice questions, put on a backpack, and walk back out of that classroom. That's just not how I function. Unfortunately, the school system that I have been a part of my entire life is functioned that way. And lo and behold, I never got into physical therapy school. Tried multiple times. But I didn't let that stop what I wanted to do, which was to serve the human body and to essentially reverse engineer its functionality. I didn't know at the time that's what I was going to do, but I really love the problem solving concept. I like working with my hands. I like building stuff. I like yard work, to be quite frank with you. I like manual labor. And so it was a cool job to have, because a trainer's job is really a blue collar job, but with a white collar mindset. At least that's how I pitch it. So I ended up finding, seriously, through the grace of God, the universe, that some amazing black sheep physical therapists who, if the APTA, the American Physical Therapy Association, could have kicked them out, they would have. They would have said, "Get out of here! You're too rebellious." And it was these physical therapists who said, "You know what? We're going to provide an education." Guys named Gary Gray and Dave Tiberio. I said, "We're going to provide education to anyone who wants to learn." And so as a trainer, I knew that there was something missing from my ability to help clients get beyond a stuck point, whether it be a movement dysfunction, whether it be a mental kind of setback that just, I wasn't encouraging them the way that they needed to be encouraged, or it was just, I just didn't know how to think appropriately. I was being told what to think all the time, all the certifications. I travel all around the country. They tell me what to do, what to do, what to do, but no one ever taught me how to think. How to think for myself, for the person in front of me, versus the, bell-shaped curve of an experiment or some sort of protocol system. So when I dove into that training, which was designed for physical therapists, I opened up Gymnazo at the same time. And I took that information and said, well, I'm not a therapist. I don't work in the clinical setting. So I'm going to design it and recreate it for fitness, for the trainer. And that's what we've been doing for the past 13 years. We've been saying, how does the personal trainer and the physical therapist become one in a non-medical white coat society where we can control the outcome and the intake at the same time? We can prevent people from going to the medical side of the things, and we can take people who have not had the best result from the medical side of things, or when it's just ended because insurance stopped, and you actually get them beyond just functional, I can go to the bathroom and get into a car, but actually enjoy movement with the capacity, comfort, and capability that life requires. And so we built a business on it, literally. And like I said, we've been doing it for the past 10, 13 years. For the first 10 years, we just had our head dug in the sand. This is what we're doing. And we just crushed it. We just went after it, started from 700 square foot, room to now to a 13,000 square foot facility. Hundreds of clients. And now we realize, wait a minute, like this is unique. I thought it was just normal. This is what everyone's doing. But we live in a very small town in Central Coast, California. So we didn't really have a whole lot of influence. And then we realized, wait a minute, this needs to be the future. The future of the trainer doesn't have to be just a trainer who counts reps, makes things challenging, and has some accountability. But it doesn't have to be that person who says, well, I just got to go to grad school now, spend $100,000, and actually not really get taught how to actually cure or fix or go to the root cause of movement dysfunction. I'm talking about physical therapy, not physical therapists. That's a different breed. I'm talking about the industry of physical therapy. And so how can I have that in-between zone? So we're creating a brand new profession. Instead of just keeping it here in this small town of San Luis Obispo, we're creating a brand new movement profession that will kind of be called like the human movement engineer or the true kinesiologist, which is pretty much doesn't exist in the 50 states of America. But we have a lot of degrees out there of kinesiology. There's no one who really is a kinesiologist. So we wanted to put a change to that. We want to put that trainer who has that capacity. That's my life story as a professional.
I'm just gonna say, wow. Okay, that's the first thing. I mean, that's pretty intense. And first of all, congrats on what you've achieved. And I always admire people who actually have a vision and they do whatever it takes to achieve that vision and attain whatever it is behind it. And you've touched on a lot of things. Now I want to break it down a little bit, but the concept of creating a whole new, that's why I said a new concept, a new field, if you want to call it that way. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. All the science that we have, so at a certain point, it didn't exist, and somebody kind of come up with their own stuff, and it becomes a thing, right? So you are an innovator and a pioneer, I would say, that's beautiful. So I love that about people that actually are ingenious. They create something that is different, or they take what's existing but with a different angle, because not everybody fits in a particular order or a particular format. You just create a whole thing where it's mashing up two different concepts, really. And I love what you said about movement, and it's all about movement. And I've had so many shows with chiropractors, with therapists, physical therapists, with fitness world, and even doctors. And it's the word movement comes along a lot of few times in between. It's like almost the common theme, and it's powerful because we don't think about it when I've been in the martial arts world myself, and I've been in fitness world, but you don't hear that all the time. Like the word movement, we train, you train, right? You do stuff, you build. But that word movement, even for some people that may not be as fit, sometimes the word fitness is scary enough. Then that kind of pushes them away from it. But when you talk about movement, well, I can do that. I can move, and of course at different levels.
Have to move.
Yeah, exactly.
We have to move.
But it changes the dynamics, your approach, how you would literally, see. I mean, it's really like if I make it, like you said, difficult, you'll probably push people away. But if I make it acceptable and it's tailored according to your level, and it's different, and so that's changing. But I love what you said. I mean, this is something that you started 8th grade. That was your first thing, and it stayed with you. And yet you wanted to do the physical therapy, but you went through the journey. And that's, again, I'm going to talk about the I guess the strategic or the planning or the vision part of it, right? You as a young person, thinking about that's my future, and you really stuck to it. But then you realize there's some piece of it that's not going to be the best for you because you're just not your typical person that wants to go to that. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. Not everybody is. Not everybody's different on how they accept the information. There is a system that's been established by some people over the centuries or the years, and we got accustomed to it. Doesn't mean that's the only system. There's multiple ways to skin a cat, as they say, and so everybody learns different. And believe it or not, I mean, it's funny. Elon Musk said something the other day. I was looking at one of his TikToks or shows, whatever, one of his clips, like reels. He says you don't even need the college degree. Now, not that I disagree with the fact of college degree. I mean, you could have a college degree. It's okay to have a college degree. But he's right in a way. Today, if there's formal education, which is the standardized format that everybody wants you to have to get into the door for employment, that's like the criteria for selection. But then that doesn't mean intellect and knowledge is limited to that. You can have more knowledge in the palm of your hands with an iPhone, with Google right now, and YouTube. You can learn plenty of the stuff. And certification. I mean, Google has its own certifications and licensing, right? So it's amazing that obviously 50 years ago, you need a library to learn. You need books and books and books and books. You couldn't ask Siri about a question and get a quick answer. You didn't have AI to help you. There's so many things that change. So we have to adapt with the times. But I love that. So you saw yourself in an area that may not be you, but you turned that, and yes, now you learned the different things, but you saw the opportunity to create a whole new concept, and you did. It didn't stop you. Now, 13 years is not. It sounds like not a lot, but it's a lot when you have a business and you operate and you see that business growing. I mean, I've been in my media for 3 years, and I can see every day a little progress, and it's exciting. 13 years of progress is a lot more. So I admire everyone that actually took the journey of being an entrepreneur and taking it to that, and they're taking the risk with it. It's not easy, and building it. And not only that, building a brand, building a whole new ideology, which again, that's the other thing. Like you want to create that awareness in the world. You said it, you started in a small town with a small, facility, and now you have a huge facility. That's beautiful. By the way, I have your gym in front of me on this side, so I'm looking at the facility here. So it's gorgeous. So folks, you'll get to check it out on the description of the show. When you click on the website, you'll see it. It's awesome, but it's different from your typical gyms, at least looking from what I see. But you have different programs, but you establish that as a system, as a whole new foundation for people. Now, I even admire some of the services you have, because I looked at something that I'd never seen in a gym before.
Please. And
I'll tell you which one that is. And actually, it's the female pelvic core, and we'll talk about that. Because, people come to the gym, they buy a membership, right? They look at it from that end. And so they have classes, they have machines. You can get a personal trainer, and, whatever you want to work, you can work out. But there's no specific programs to work certain parts and deal with certain, I guess, problems that occur from just natural life. In this case, birthing is one, and childbirth, can have some sort of a damage, level that needs to be reversed, in the fitness world. I mean, we don't look at that in the fitness world. It hasn't been, I haven't seen it before, to be honest with you. I've not seen it in a gym, and I've been to quite many, and I've talked to a lot of fitness folks. It's just not something that's happening. I mean, that's one example. I mean, ultimately you have all the others, the performance, the movement, the nutrition is a key. And so these are all your concepts. So now let's break it down. You start all this with the idea of having a whole new format. And I know you and I talked briefly about the new program that you actually just launching right now. And so that we're going to take some time to spend on that. But let's talk about your programs and how does it work for someone when they join your program, or they join your system. Yeah. What are the things that are offered or available to them?
Yeah, I think we've learned the hard way, I think, through the industry. But it used to be just go to the big bucks gym, and that's where I started. And nothing wrong with that thing, but people walk in and they just are there. And when I was my first job as a personal trainer, my job was to show people around and be like, hey, this is treadmill zone, this is free weights, that's a group X class over here, stretch area, it's a juice bar, that kind of thing. And what's interesting about that is we've segregated our own body, our own functionality. Why would we have treadmill alley over here and weightlifting over there? And it's almost two different gyms. Literally, people just kind of go this way, and rarely do they go that way. Rarely. But if you look at sport, especially youth sport, and you look at development of children and how we actually move fundamentally, team sports is like one of the most popular things in the world. Mm-hmm. Is playing with other people. I'm not trying to get too deep in the physiological, in the philosophical ends of movement here, but it's just the truth. It's just undeniable. So if you look at play, and you look at just even the concept of just any park, even the modern day park, mm-hmm. There's bars everywhere. The designers of parks, they understand they need multiple angles, multiple opportunities, high, low, left, right, climb, crawl, slide, swing, like all these different patterns in it. And we know, we've studied it, what it does to the human brain, especially the developmental brain. And so why did we, as an adult, those things don't matter anymore. Just go get on the elliptical. Go just do a fixed chest press that follows a track. It's like we try to break the body part into parts, but it's not. It's one piece. Mm-hmm. It's one piece. The skin can't do anything without the organs. Organs can't do anything without the skin. The bones can't do anything without the muscles. Muscles can't do anything without the nerves. Nerves can't do anything without the bones. It's just like so fascinating. It's just like, and we can't just move pure sagittal plane forward and back. It's impossible. There's always what we call three-dimensional movement in everything. Certain ones are bigger than others, and then if you look at the concept of high performance sports, and you look at throwing a ball, hitting a ball, right? So that covers a lot of sports right there, right? Hitting a ball is a lot of sports. That's tennis, that's golf, that's football at times, that's soccer. And if you look at the primary movement that we're doing to produce enormous amounts of power, the answer is pretty clear. It's rotation. It's rotation. Now, I'm not saying we have to just only do rotational training, but if you look at a typical gym scenario and you look at what things rotate, I bet it's a 90, if not 95% not that in that facility. It's only 5% of anything at the basic gym that actually spins and rotates. So it's very fascinating how we've done a really good job of breaking that down. So when we built Gymnazo, we realized how does the human body actually move? And the education that I was provided says, well, first of all, we have to understand there's basic principles. Three-dimensional movement's like one of the foundations. You can't rip that away. But it's not so easy. It's just pure forward and back, pure side to side, pure rotation. It's always a mixture. So at least you can start any basic person by just taking your basic drills. Let's just take your basic push-up. And actually, let's just take it and say, let's add multi-dimensionality to that position, which is basically shoulder width, basically, let's just call it that, right? Basic spot. But we can move your hands in a forward and back position. We can move your hands in a side to side position. We can move your hands in a rotational position. That's not that crazy, right? We kind of already diamond push-ups. We've already done that. You know, this is just incline bench press for what this hand, and this is decline bench press for this hand. This is a wide bar grip, a narrow bar grip, right? So that's pretty simple. Mm-hmm. Let's even just take a plank. A plank. Just a good old-fashioned plank. Why do we hold it? Why do we stay static? Like, why? Is that the way the body moves in real life? Is that the way we learned how to crawl? Is that the way that we move on the field? Is that the way that we wrestle? Is that the way we do any sort of martial arts? No. No. Is it bad? No, it's not bad, but it's incomplete. Why do we only lunge forward and backwards? And maybe just a lateral lunge. Why don't we do a crossover lunge? Why don't we do a rotational lunge? Why do we always run forwards? Can we run backwards? Can we run sideways? Why do we always shuffle sideways? Can't we shuffle forwards and backwards? It's like, you kind of see where I'm kind of taking this thing. It's like, why don't we do the cornucopia of movements that our body has the capacity to do? Well, it's taught to me that it's dangerous. Why is it dangerous? So I'm going to become a 3-year-old here. I have a 3-year-old. He always asks questions. Why? Why?
That's a powerful question.
It's a powerful question. And we can't be afraid of saying, I don't know. Or we can't be afraid of saying, you know what? I think we're missing it a little bit. I think we maybe went down the wrong path. Who gives it? Let's change. Let's just change. I love Elon Musk for that same purpose. Does the car always have to have an internal combustion engine? No. Why does it? It works. Should we do something different? If it's better. So we've got the same thing. So when we do our programming, just from our general group training and conditioning, we follow 2 major concepts. One size does not fit all. One size fits one person. So we must be as individual as possible in our programming, though we still do group training, right? So that's a bit of a paradox there, but it's important. Mm-hmm. 2, we have to move how the body authentically moves outside of the facility. If we don't follow those 2 rules, then that's fine. We're just a normal gym. We're just a normal spot that's just going to have normal results. Well, we know that where that's gotten us. Not great. I mean, there's some great people, but the biggest epidemic in our history of our nation wasn't COVID. It's unhealthiness. It's obesity. It's that's not just a nutritional problem. That's an everything problem. So let's start where we all started as little kids. Movement. That's where we all started. I'm not saying that's going to solve all the problems. No way. You've had some amazing guests on here. A lot of it's a lot of things, but we can all start with movement. So we have a class that's a demographic. So we have a group class. It's like, think about, why do we have freshman, JV, and varsity? Because the freshmen would get freaked out if they played next to the varsity. They would just, I'm out of here. It'd freak them out. Why don't the varsity play with the freshmen? Because they would get bored. So it's not that we have to segregate people, but we have to keep athletes with athletes. Like we have to make people feel inspired by the people around them, not freaked out or not bored. Mm-hmm. So we break up our groups into different segments of demographics. So then we can get pretty individual based upon our demographic. Does that take a little bit more programming, a little bit more resource management, a little bit more structure in your business? 100%. But so what? And then also we must train with the authenticity of what the body has outside of the facility. So our goal is like, if you do a movement inside of our facility and we can't give you a good why, now that's a tricky question or tricky comment, because there's a want and a need. And some people may just want to do a scissor kick on the ground, a supine scissor kick. Is that a good enough reason for that person to continue their fitness journey? It is. Is it going to fix their lower back pain or make their core truly as functional as it needs to be? Not even close. But it's still a want and a need. So we can shove, right? There's a mental and a physicality side. So if we can't give you a why that's sustainable, then we'll throw that drill out. It's just gone. It's gone. So it's really important. So now when you see us have workouts, our workouts kind of look like you're playing baseball. Kind of looks like you're playing basketball. Kind of looks like you're actually crawling at a park. Kind of looks like you're just having fun. Now, is it organized? Is it scripted? Is it dialed in? 100%. Do we hit all the muscle groups? Yes. Do we follow push, pull, hinge? Not really. We have new terms to designate our programming standards. Instead of the push, pull, hinge, lift, all those things like that, right? We have 4 different terms. Locomotion, which is, that's a big range. That's a huge range. Spirals, diagonals, and spherical. That's how we program. Locomotion, spirals, diagonals, and spherical. So what movement patterns and what drills do you know in traditional fitness? That's a rhetorical question that fits those realms. A lot of people look at me like, I don't know,
I wouldn't, I wouldn't, right. I wouldn't even take it. Yeah. Well, but I get the concept, though.
Right.
I love it.
Yeah. But the concept is we do it all the time. We do it all the time. We just don't have the awareness that what we're doing because we're so fixated on physique training. Nothing wrong with physique training. It's just limited, significantly limited. So we think we're fit and healthy, but then we go try to do some yard work. I'm like, what the heck happened to my lower back? Gosh, I thought, I thought I could actually ski better. It's like, I'm actually getting worse. Now, again, I know what I'm saying is pretty bold and pretty linear, but the concept is that the transfer isn't what we think it is. So let's adapt. Let's change. And anyways, I'll pause there.
Well, so that's a lot. And Michael, I think what you've done. First of all, I love the why. When you ask the why, I mean, most people don't do the why. They just do because it is.
Yeah, well, that's what they were told.
Yeah, exactly. You're not really typically are conditioned or used to questioning everything and around you. You just basically, this is how it is. It's how it's been done. You just do. And when you start asking the why and why and why, that's when you start discovering more and more. And that's actually what made pioneers across. You're doing it in the context of fitness and wellness, and you finding that. And I love what you said about we want to do things that people can adapt to in normal life, like outside of the gym and things like that. You're talking about the shift in and the ability to do certain things in the same time in your own exercise, where you can change different things without having to make a move from one side to the other. You're changing the dynamics of the traditional formula, which, by the way, that's actually exciting. We are talking through Zoom right now, right? This is technology that didn't exist 10 years ago, right? Or maybe Skype did. I don't know. But 20 years ago,
something that but even 5 years ago, if someone said, "Hey, let's do a Zoom call," I'd be like, let's just do a phone call.
Yeah,
let's just do a phone call.
Exactly. Well, so
now it's like, now I want to do this. I don't want to do a phone call.
It opened the whole world. Actually, I don't like phone calls anymore. No. I'd rather talk to someone, at least I can see them, to see me. But again, you're right. You have to adapt with the times, and we just got to keep moving. And you keep challenging the status quo, and you did, and you changed it to a new way. And again, kudos to the concept because it is different. It is basically the basic stuff with a new spin. That's the part of it.
100%. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's not even like, wow, this is like different rocket science. It's not
it's not like we're making Wi-Fi here. This is not quantum physics. But
maybe it is.
It is actually.
It is. Yeah, because you're talking about dimensional stuff here. So we're definitely into the realm. But the ideology is that you are touching on new things and helping the individuals different. And I love what you said about, you don't. By the way, when you were talking about the concept of varsity and so on and so forth, I think about it in martial arts. I mean, when you're, you got a white belt, you don't hang out with the black belts. I mean, you're not in their class or course. Sometimes you do, but typically you're not going to do the stuff. You have no clue what's going on in there, and everything looks very dangerous and fast and quick. But then in time, you start adjusting and then adapt to the next stage. And once you're ready to get into that mix, you do it, and vice versa. These guys, we have a joke. I mean, the most dangerous, students in a gym in martial arts are the white belts, because when you teach them a technique, they'll destroy you. because they don't have the finesse that you take, and so they take you down harshly. So when you get to uki with someone that is brand new, it's tough, man. You feel the pain. But by the way, folks, just no joke. I love all my fellow martial artists. Any level, it's great stuff. But it's just an inside joke. But because, to be honest with you, when you're still new, you don't know the finesse of things, right? You're rough, and you just do it rough. And you're right. The ideology that, do you fit in all the other groups? No, you have to be where you are and adjust slowly but surely, get to the next. So you've figured all these things up, and you created these programs. And I love what you said. You have classes, but you're also individually tailored. So you're doing it both ways. So yes, you can have. By the way, how big are the classes? Are they large classes or small classes?
I would say that they're. I would say it's small group fitness. So our max is 18.
Oh, that's a decent size.
Yeah, it isn't. So the paradigm shift that we're trying to have trainers realize, that you can't just do one-on-one training. That's not a sustainable career. You can do it, but you're not going to earn enough. You're going to get burnt out, or it's just not going to work. I don't know very many 65-year-olds who retired from a career of one-on-one personal training, who have a good retirement, fed their family, kids through college. I'm sure they're out there, but it's, very small.
Oh, no,
very small.
I would agree with you. Yeah. I mean, it is tough as a personal trainer to consistently continue doing it for years, right, and really make a decent living. It's tough. Yeah. It is not. Is it not? Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So it's just not sustainable. I mean, yes, you have those few out there who have those clientele that can do that, but so. However, we're graduating 28,000 students from kinesiology degree every year. I think I'm right on that number. If not, I'm not that far off. So 28,000 students per year come out of college with a job that doesn't exist. I mean, it seems weird. So you have to have one-on-one training, but to us, in our method, you also have to have semi-private training. Now, semi-private training is the hybrid between group and one-on-one, where it's still one-on-one programming. Very important, individual. But those up to four athletes can share the coach's time. They don't need one-on-one attention, but maybe they need a little bit more attention than group. Mm-hmm. And then the final phase is that group. If you can have that ecosystem, I know it's not a true ecosystem, but if you can have that set up, then you can now you can intake clients, train them and condition them to move to semi-private, which is now a cost savings, significant cost savings, but also a profit increase to the business. When you can have a win-win, now we're creating a business. Now we're creating a sustainable business. Sustainable is the key word. Then once they want to maybe actually say, hey, I just want to train and condition myself, then they can go down even a further tier and have 3 times a week, 4 times a week. And then whenever that injury happens in group, which it will happen, it's not a question of if, it's a matter of when. Because everyone walks through every single fitness store with a dysfunction. Already, they brought the garbage with them. If you think the person that you married or dating is perfect, you're going to have a tough relationship. We all bring our dysfunction, our own garbage. That's not a bad thing. What do we do about it? So instead of kicking that person out to a PT or chiropractor, which is not a bad thing, sometimes it has to go there. But what if you can fix that movement dysfunction before it becomes ugly, before it becomes needed as an adjustment or as an orthopedic matter? I think trainers can do that. In fact, I know trainers can do that. They just don't have the understanding, awareness, and education to break down the body into its universal components. Universal components is the key word. Universal, all parts move together. And fix it before it becomes too ugly. And then they go back to the one-on-one training, hang out there for a few weeks, and then keep cycling through. And that's the model that we all need to have to create a one-man show. You can be a one-man show and do that. One-woman show, right? Now, but here's my next process. Tell me a great restaurant that you really like, that only one person works there. They serve you, they wait staff on you, they cook for you, they do the books, they clean the dishes, right?
Maybe there is. I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe there's a taco truck out there that's one person, right? I mean, I'm just saying, let's look at the broad market here. Yeah. So why is fitness so segregated from the coach, from the business owner? Why are coaches, you can't, nope, don't look at my clients. Don't look what I'm doing. Like, I believe fitness facilities, fitness owners, entrepreneurs in this space, personal trainers need to treat their businesses like restaurants. You need a team. If you want to have a sustainable life, you have to create a team. Does that have to be huge? No, of course not. But if you want to enjoy the passion of this career, which it is one of the most passionate careers out there, like no one in the fitness industry has low passion. You just wouldn't be there. It just wouldn't happen because you don't go in for the money. You don't go in for the economics of time, right? You know, because you love to help people. You have a heart of gold, bleeding heart to help people. So you have to have a team. No more solo artists. So, and then my last comment is we need to stop treating fitness as, and this is my opinion, I may ruffle some feathers here, nothing personal. We have to stop treating fitness like we treat food. Oh, just franchise it. Find the simplicity, get it down to the core essentials, and blast it out there. The franchise food world is destroying our nutrition. Even the franchise farming world is destroying our nutrition. We need to create more Michelin star coaches who can build a concept that people get attracted to. There's a quality there that is undeniable, but there's a uniqueness to fit that demographic, that community, that culture. So if we take a chapter out of the restaurant field, I think we could save the world. I really mean that. Sounds like a tall order, but I think we can provide a health and vitality movement that will rock the world. We got to start with us because we're pretty messed up. We're pretty messed up.
Well, Michael, you've touched on a lot of things, and you know what? I mean, certainly there's skeptics or maybe some critics that may say, well, your concept, may be not what they can challenge it. But what I love about one thing in this world is that everybody's got their own way of doing things, and there is room for everybody to be in the market, and everybody's got a new angle. And typically when you bring something new to the table, people look at you like, well, you challenge everybody, like you're the odd, the black sheep of the family, right? It happens. But you know what? That's what makes pioneers and innovators, is you don't really stick to the pack. You highlight yourself differently. But I love what you said about the franchise world. Not I have no problems with franchising in terms of as a concept and business wise, but you're right from a concept of how boutique it is and things like that. They just make it as a system, and this is it. It's easy to sell. It's kind of like, here's the formula, take it and let's make some money. So it's more about the money as opposed to probably the service part of it or the actual outcome.
Yes.
When you're a boutique, you're boutique, your signature. I mean, a real chef, doesn't have a franchise. I mean, I don't know of a real chef that actually franchises his name to others. Maybe they do. I don't know.
There are a few out there. But again, it should be commonplace, right?
Yeah.
It should be commonplace.
Well, again, but by the way, even if there is, right, it's okay. There are, there are formulas that are simplified enough that you can do that. But if you really want a good thing, you'll have that signature, whatever in the food world. You want to go to that space where the actual owner is the chef and they do the stuff and they give you something that is unique and experience, beyond that, right? But in your world, in the fitness world, what you're doing is innovative, is different. Now, you talked about the programming that you have for new trainers or let's talk about that in details. Like, what does that entail for people that are listening right now, watching? If they want to be part of it, how does that work? I mean, it's certainly a whole new concept than your traditional, gym trainer business.
Yeah. I mean, we've all had to, do a NSCA or NASM or ACE or ISSA. Those are good places to start. I don't want to, I've kind of beat them up a little bit, and I think they deserve to be beat up a little bit, but for the concept of it is like they're getting people started. And that's a good thing. But like you said, a white belt's dangerous. So is a brand new certified trainer. A lot of passion, not very much experience and expertise on the finesse, right? Just telling someone to do a burpee and run on treadmill and a step mill and do some sit-ups. I wouldn't call that coaching. So we have to take that person who has all the passion, the desire to learn, and just really just wants to know as much as possible. And that was me. I wanted to know as much as I possibly could. And I only knew the traditional routes. So we have to create something that fills the gap, right? That progresses the industry intelligence, not just fulfilling hours in a day, just checking off boxes. So what we realized is that we created not only a great business model, and I'm talking about franchising what we're doing. I'll go against what I'm just saying. Mm-hmm. But we figured out the operational systems that supports the webbing, right? It's the webbing that supports the skill set. It's because we built a mentorship, and this is kind of the biggest thing. Like fitness has a lot of certifications. You watch something on a screen, you go try to do it. And there's a lot of lost in between because there's we forgot that this is a blue collar job. Personal training is manual labor. If you don't think it's not digging a ditch, I get it. But it's when I go home, I'm tired. 7 hours of training is a long day. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just give it a shot. You don't want to talk to anybody. You don't want to do anything. You want to sit down and watch some Netflix. I'm just overplaying it here, but it's really a challenging job. And to do that day after day after day, it beats you up. It really does. So we have to give the skill set to say, wait a minute, how do we create a mentorship that really coaches people like an apprenticeship would back in the day? Because we're talking about a hands and labor job here. It's not just all intellect. It's actually both. So through this mentorship, we've created this concept like we have to have coursework. We have to have conversations just like you and I are having right now. Honest, real feedback about situational awarenesses. And we must build a community. So if we just make more siloed coaches, then we're losing it. We have to build a community. So it's all about saying, how do we understand the principles? And I really mean the word principles, like undeniable truths of physics as it relates to the human body. We have to understand that at a deep level. We have to understand, and so we talk about that. We have to understand the biology as it relates to movement at a deep level. Now we can go to cellular, organic chemistry. We're not going to talk about that. It has to do with movement, but not at our level. And then we have to understand the psychology, the principles as we know them today of movement, of fitness as it relates to the human body. So we got to be those three things. But that just makes us a good practitioner. We also have to be a great coach. I grew up following the Chicago Bulls, in the 90s. I apologize for anyone who doesn't know the Chicago Bulls in the 90s. Some of the best basketball in the world. Some of the best. There's been greatness too. How did the Bulls come together with Pippen, Rodman, and Jordan? We're talking about some type A individuals. How did they come? They had a great coach. Who let them be themselves, but taught them how to be teammates. It's very important. So we have to be great coaches, but we also have to be good business people too. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about shrewd business people. We have to understand systems and how the systems of those systems create your sustainability as a person. So we really cover all those chunks in a mentorship that's 6 months long, that goes week by week, just like a course, and you are with people. You're not by yourself. Very important. You go with people and you get to learn and correspond back and forth. And at the very end, are you some wizard of movement? Of course not. It was only 6 months long. But you have the building blocks to start layering on why. And now it's not like I just was told something to do. I understand how to find the answer myself. Critical thinking is really what it comes down to. And a very complex organism called the human body, mind, and soul. And we, as movement practitioners, have to understand all those components. Not like a therapist, not like a pastor, but kind of like a little bit of all of them. Because we need to come together, because we have a human being in front of us that's not just a machine. So it's really fascinating. So it's a really cool program. It's been transformative. And the coaches that have gone through it have really kind of come together and say, you're like, wow, this is that gap that I've been feeling in my job in the industry. I just didn't know how to fill it. I just didn't know what to do about it.
So Michael, this program now is available statewide. I mean, everywhere, 50
Worldwide.
state, worldwide.
Worldwide.
Worldwide. Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah.
This is done through the technology. So yeah, I love it. I mean, now you can. Most of the stuff is. And by the way, I enjoy it more because our shows go all over the world. So
Right.
people,
it's pretty awesome.
People that are somewhere in the world that may not have access to something that's innovative, now they have access to it. So I love that. And so now someone would register into this program. If they're in the fitness world, they want to become part of the mentorship program. They register. They basically are in this for 6 months commitment, and once they're done,
Yep.
they get some sort of a certification, or how does that work?
Yeah, it is technically a certification. It's called the multi-dimensional movement coach.
Love it.
Multi-dimensional is not just multi-dimensional in movement, but multi-dimensional in everything. MDMC is what it's called. And we have 2 classes per year. We have a class that's launching on May 1st. So depending on when this hits the air. And then
it's
October.
This week.
No, there you go. Yeah. So it's like going to school. It's like going to school. You have class times. You also have. It's also built for the profession. You get unlocked a week of content. Go through it at your own time, but we have scheduled facilitator calls, scheduled group calls, coaching calls. Mm-hmm. So it's important that you get that freedom to do what you want to do, but it's also scheduled just like a client is scheduled every Tuesday at 11 o'clock, as an example. Mm-hmm. And yes, it is a certification. Yes, it does fit the requirements of CEUs for the rest of the world out there. We're trying to cover as many bases as possible, but what it is, it's really that first stepping stone into becoming, like I said, kind of like the true kinesiotherapist, the true essence of what it is to be someone who studies human movement. And I think we've lost that craft, especially from my college education as a science kinesiologist. We studied human movement as it pertains to machinery and fixed movement patterns. We didn't understand it from the biomechanics of movement outside of the weight room. So it's very fascinating. If we look at who are our customers, they're not people who are going to be on stages flexing their muscles. Nothing against that, but
No, thank you. It's funny because you talked about the certification, you broke it down, and something came to mind. I mean, all the certifications that exist today, when you look at them, they started by a group of people that had some sort of, format at a point or another, and then became the certification to go to, and everybody adopted them. Like everything else, somebody's got to start something new, and now it becomes the new norm. You want to be going to that. You want to have that as asset to your arsenal, to ammunition when you go and present yourself in the world of fitness. So that's awesome. I mean, you're adding a whole new world, and a whole new ideology, practice, and system to what already people know. I mean, yes, you're right. You do the basic, certifications through any of the ones that you mentioned, and that's great. You can have 5 of them. You can have 1. Some are better than others or more acceptable than others worldwide. Because I mean, you look at fitness jobs and instructors, like, do you have this? Do you have this? Do you have that? And all this stuff. Personal trainer, you have group class training, and which school did you go to? Which certification you obtain makes a difference. But all these just took enough time to build up, the reputation and became the go-to ones. Now we have a new one, and that's yours. And I like that idea because you're not typical like the others. You add in a whole different concept and angle that they don't have. And I don't think anyone does have what you already have now, what you put in.
Yeah, I hope someone does, but I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
I haven't really seen it yet, and it's true. It's like, and I want people to kind of feel this out. Like, it's not, I don't want Gymnazo to grow. I want the multidimensional movement coach to grow. Like, it's really important. It's really important that we push this industry forward, because it is the one thing that can truly help the healthcare system. The sick care system that we are currently in. Like, it really, like, preventable action. It's so simple, but it's so challenging. So how do we make challenging the simple We get passionate people to influence other people's lives in a way that says, I can do that. And it's the Hughes of the world, to be honest with you. Like we just, how do we get our sons and daughters to brush their teeth at age 2 and 3? It's influenced by the parent. It's passed down. Movement is not passed down. It was, but technology is only going to make us more sedentary, which is a really cool thing, actually. We don't have to farm and plow and hunter and gather. That's a really cool thing. But with that cool thing becomes grave other consequences. Oh, yeah. So let's solve that. Let's solve it. Let's solve it now before we're literally the Disney show WALL-E, all stuck in chairs floating in space.
Well, Michael, I mean, that's a big area that's been really an issue, and it's going to continue being an issue now more than ever, because if you look at, and by the way, I've had doctors and I have different specialists talking about this whole concept about the technology and the impact psychologically and physically. I mean, people today, they eat more, talking about obesity and all that. You sit behind the computer, gaming, all this stuff. I mean,
we're doing it now.
Well, I mean, right now we're doing it for.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. But here's the thing, people are doing this 24/7. They don't even move from this stuff. You can DoorDash everything to your home. Everything comes to your house.
True.
You don't even have to.
And it's only going to get cooler. It's only going to get better.
I'm telling you, it will. That's right. But then if you don't get off, and by the way, even with the physical stuff, now you're thinking about it with Meta, you get into a visor and now you're sitting there and maybe you think that you're somewhere. It's again, like to your point, people have to be aware that technology is going to be great, but there is a detriment to other things that if we don't pay attention to, we're not worried about, if we're not seeing what that means to us and have a plan against that to kind of balance things off, it's going to affect more people health-wise. I love what you said, sick care, because it's not really health. It's, when you're sick, that's when you get the care. It's not when you're it's not preventative as it should be, or, avoiding it, unfortunately. So Michael, thank you for breaking that down as far as the mentorship program. Now your services, just this is one of the biggest pieces that, we want to, talk about today. Obviously we did. Now the other programs for your gym, those are just localized, just in the facility, or do you have like programs? Because I did see an app that you have and different programs. Is that, available to people again worldwide?
Yeah, I think it's very, very important that, I want to thank COVID for a few things. And one of them is the digitization of fitness. It's been out there. VHS has been out there for a long, long time, but now it's just in your face, and it's, a lot of it's fine. It's okay. It's movement for the sake of fun. Yeah, it is. It's okay. But it's really important that people, they need to feel it, right? We're kinesthetic learners as well as auditory and the cases, right? So if someone wants to kind of dive into this concept, we have a lot of on-demand programs that are kind of just follow along, call them workouts. But they don't have to be, sweat and, throw up on the floor workouts. And then we also have virtual training. And that's one of those gifts that has now become common state. And the virtual training is pretty awesome, because with movement-based training, you don't need a gym. You need gravity, 4 walls and a floor, and you. And that's about it. And if we can't provide you with an exceptional workout or movement practice, as we like to say it, from those simple ingredients, then we're not good enough coaches. Now, is it nice to have a cool piece of equipment? Of course it is. Will it add more variety and pizzazz to your workout? Of course it will. But it's really important that now this is commonplace, what we're doing right now, and a 2-dimensional screen is not that bad. It's not that bad. And our cameras are pretty good. So, so in our semi-private programming, it's a hybrid, meaning we run that program virtually and in person at the same time. And it's really been a very powerful program, because it allows other people from other parts of the world even to say, wait a minute, this is different. And now they go seek out other trainers in that part of the world, of the country, to have the same thing. And that's kind of how it goes, right? a good thing spreads mostly by word of mouth. Like no one's going to complain about a good word of mouth marketing campaign.
It's the
we have to watch out for
the oldest and the most traditional. It still works.
It still works. It actually works the best. Everything else is trying to just mimic that in other ways.
Listen, word of mouth is the most powerful. If someone says you're good, and I experience it, I love it. And we all do the same. Like you want a lawyer, like use my lawyer. I've tried.
Right.
You want an
exactly.
accountant, you want my coach, use my coach. You know, you want this. You always refer to people that you've had good experiences. You want a car mechanic, same thing. So people take your word for it if they trust you enough. And so it's important. And you're right. And it's just perfect. So Michael, we're coming to the end of the hour here. So first of all, this was like completely awesome. I mean, it's just a whole new world of discussion, and just again, it's a different approach to the world of fitness, and changing the dynamics is always a good thing. And we give people something new, and I think more people today are going to listen and watch and be aware that this is available. And a lot of people are in the world trying to your point, my oldest son wants to be a personal trainer. He is actually at a gym. This may be something that he'll be, more into. He's looking at certification. This could be something for him. But the idea is that it's understanding what this means to you and what it will do to you and how you become better at what you're doing and what services and what outcomes you're going to give to the world out there is going to change the dynamics. So I really appreciate, the time and a wealth of knowledge here. You broke it down, to a lot of details. But I think it's important for the audience to see like where you come from in terms of the ideology and the concept itself and the application of it and the outcome and the results that people can see both on their own, whether they're on the mentorship program or your even clients, because the results that they're going to see and they get are going to be different because you're working with them in a whole different level. And so that's like almost the next evolution of personal training. I would refer to it that way.
That's exactly what we refer to. Yeah.
Yeah,
we're not going to get rid of. Yeah.
I didn't rehearse it, so that was good.
Yeah. We don't want to get rid of the personal trainer of today. It's not. We don't want to get rid of the physical therapist. No. There's an in between step. There's something else. Basic personal training, good, but it's not enough. Physical therapy, good, but it's not enough. And these two are too far apart. So,
you're bridging the gap. That's it.
Yeah, bridging the gap.
And by the way, I love anything in the middle. Middle is always a good place to be. Here in the center of the field.
This time of day. Yeah.
Man. Well, so Michael, any last advice to our audiences watching today, whether they're clients or whether they're potential trainers that you want to kind of get into this particular concept?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Someone told me this a while back, and it's something I always want to share because it just brought a piece of awareness to my life that covers all things. And it's pretty much Aristotle. It's basically what you repeatedly do is what you become. It's like, so I want to share this with any coach or any athlete out there. You're always working out. Right now, listening to this, whatever you're physically doing, you're training your body to do it better. Is that what you want? And the really cool thing about it, it doesn't take a whole lot of time to reverse something that you've done poorly for a long time. It's like, always be aware. You're always working out. You're always training your body, whether it's be sitting, laying, whatever the case is. Be aware that what you ever want to be good at, do that more often. That's what I want people to leave people with.
Well, Michael, that's powerful, and we'll take it. I'm not going to add to it anything. This has been a great hour, and so much. Again, I learned a lot, and I love it because I always learn stuff on these shows, and I take it first. I absorb it, and it's pretty good, and it helps me in my own life, and I apply a lot of the stuff and all the advice I hear. Literally, I use it one way or the other, at any given moment, and I share it as well. So thank you for being, a wealth of information and a source of knowledge for me and for the audiences. So thank you so much for doing what you're doing, and, wish you all the best and great luck, in pushing this and becoming the signature program and certification in the next, generation, and literally really being that hybrid, that centered, format where people can get the best of where they need to be. And that's about it. So, folks, I hope you did enjoy the show and you've learned quite a bit. And now, if you're in the fitness world and you're in the training mode, guess what? You do need to seek out the information. By the way, the website is gymnazo.com, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. If you want to look at us as a facility, gymnazo.com, Gymnazo. Or if you want to look at us from a training standpoint, from an education standpoint, it's gymnazoedu.com.
Okay. And I'll have both, links in the description of the show. So whichever way you want to go, you have the opportunity to do so. But do seek out, do check it out. It's a great site. At least I'm looking at it on my left here. Pretty good stuff. Plenty of programs on demand. So plenty. That being said, so thank you for being with us. Thank you for watching, for listening in. I'm Hurricane H. We'll be talking soon. New day, new show, new topic. Bye for now.